Let's talk about why I think it's a bad idea if the WNBA players decide to go through a lockout. And the reason why I believe that, because if you look at how the NBA players get paid versus the WNBA players, well, first off, when it comes to the WNBA, they rely on outside sources. Like the NBA, they help keep them afloat with their operational costs. So if the WNBA loses money, the NBA steps in and helps cover those costs. So it keeps them afloat. They have private investors involved where they, I believe, have about 16% of the share in revenue. So the WNBA is already operating at a loss. When it comes to NBA players, they don't have to worry about that. They got their 50%, the NBA keeps 50%, and everybody is happy. And the reason why the WNBA is such in a pickle here is because they do not make a profit. They've lost an average of $10 million a year. Sure, investors are trying to support them, keep them afloat. And think of it this way, people might wonder, why do investors stick around? Well, some businesses operate at a loss for about maybe 5, 10 years or longer, but they want to stick around to see it play out because they're investing in this product. And if it does turn a profit, they want to be there for it because they're putting their money into this. So when it comes to the WNBA, and if they decide to sit out, they can play overseas and get paid, but it's a mistake in my opinion. Right now, the league is generating more buzz. It's getting interest. Doesn't mean they're making money, but at least people are paying more attention. Caitlin Clark has a huge effect on this. You look at her stay in college. She played 4 years at Iowa, generated a lot of interest because Iowa is a big basketball town. You look at Indiana, known for its basketball. She plays for the Indiana Fever. She's got this narrative supporting her. Whether you agree or disagree with that, it's just how it works right now. When you look at her play basketball, people love watching Caitlin Clark play. She can shoot the logo three. She can play make. She's really great in transition. And how she carries herself, people like that as well. When you're marketing yourself, you have to learn how to build the right image and get people to like you. And that's what Caitlin Clark does. She speaks highly about the WNBA, about its history. She supports the players and saying, pay what you owe us, even though players take shots at her, like Kelsey Plum. We saw in an interview with her at the All-Star game. She doesn't do that to the players. She stays professional. She carries herself appropriately. And fans are going to gravitate towards Caitlin Clark. When you see someone like Angel Reese, who last year, before she even came into WNBA, said, I deserve to be in those conversations. Like, you need to talk about me as well. It's like, no, we don't. That's cringe. I'm not going to like you. Again, image is everything, and how you conduct yourself is very important. That's why Caitlin Clark generates a lot of interest. It doesn't mean these players don't deserve respect. It's just how it works with marketing, how consumers look at things. If they're interested in something, they're going to keep watching. So right now, consumers enjoy Caitlin Clark. If you go through a lockout, and let's say you pause it for 2 months of the regular season next year in 2026, well, you might lose that opportunity for growth because in May and June, not a lot's going on outside the NBA. Then you have July, let's say you come back during that time, you got to compete with the NFL in college football because that's starting to rev up. And you lose your opportunity to generate some more interest, and you might turn off some more fans who are paying attention right now. If you come across as entitled, as somebody who deserves something, when the reality is you haven't turned a profit yet, then you lose interest and people just walk away and you wonder what happened to the fans you once had. And then when you look at the revenue aspect about this, the NBA, they had $11.34 billion in revenue during the 23-24 season. WNBA reported revenues around $200 million. They made a lot less. And the problem is right now when it comes to WNBA, they have to get loans. So the NBA helps them stay afloat. They also have private investors. To go and demand something where you haven't shown the ability to operate on your own two legs is not a good thing. It's like going to college, take out a loan, and you expect these colleges say, you got to pay me back because I put in this work. I'm working so hard. And, I've been showing up to my 8 or 9 to 5 job, whatever I may do as my profession, pay me back. It's like, no, you can't do that. You got to pay the loan. So the WNBA operates at a loss because they rely on other factors. The NBA players do not because they keep their 50%. The NBA as a league keeps their 50%. So in order for the WNBA to separate themselves from these investors and from the NBA itself, they got to get better with their operational costs. That's the only thing I can really think about at this point where they can maybe cut some costs and keep some of that for themselves to help build this league. Now, the players are going to get a raise because the collective bargaining agreement is going to change. The revenue is going to go up. So they'll get their increase, maybe not the numbers they want. However, they'll get something. Do I think they deserve a raise? It's tough. I understand that they play really hard, but they can go after endorsement deals. They can look for other ways to generate income. Fair or unfair, it's just the nature of the business right now. What you need to be pointing the finger to is the referees, how you guys market your product, the old media downplaying Caitlin Clark, and you got to talk about those things first. You can't just build something overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day. And if you expect to get something very quickly when the reality is it's been in existence for 29 years and you're losing money every year, that's a hard argument to overcome. So I think for the players, they got to be realistic with their expectations. If they go on any type of strike, this league might be cooked. Especially if you hear reports about players demanding more, wanting more, and they think that the league doesn't respect them. It's going to turn off fans a lot because remember, you got to represent your league appropriately. And I saw something actually today where the NBA players, they had a lockout in 2011 and they accepted a smaller share of revenue. Why? Because they recognize if we act entitled, if we act whiny and wanting more money, that might turn off our fans. And also, we want to play basketball. The fans come to be entertained, not to see us whining for a period of time about revenue and getting more pay. And the players in the WNBA don't recognize that because for a while, we've seen clips around like a Kelsey Plum where she come out and said, like, we need more revenue. I don't get any money for my shoe deals or my shoes I sell overseas or jerseys. I think it was the jerseys, I think she said. It's like, okay, we understand that right now the league doesn't pay well enough. But when you look at the other side of things, it makes sense why they can't get more out of the revenue because the WNBA has to keep the league afloat. They got to, keep some of that money they're making to help the operation costs, etc. And then when you have investors involved, and if you're getting paid based on revenue and not profit income, it doesn't really work out. You lose money. So you have to understand that even if you increase your revenue, doesn't mean you're still making a profit. If the profits aren't coming in, you have no money to share, unfortunately. You can moan and cry about the league-wide revenue and how the WNBA takes advantage of these players. However, the WNBA has to keep the operations going. And until there's some type of profitability made in the WNBA year in and year out, the negotiations aren't going to go the way you expect because you have the NBA and the private investors involved. And until you can show them some type of sustainability, growth, then you won't have as much leverage as you would like. It's just how it goes. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the WNBA players threatening to go on strike if they don't get what they want. How do you think that would work out? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.